Good morning. Idea to Exit podcast coming to you live Christmas Eve morning. Finally, I have a day off, and I want to take this time to talk about what I've been doing the last 45 days. A lot to unpack here. So, 45 days ago, I launched a new campaign. I launched some meta ads to a page, and I really haven't been active on social media for quite some time now. Since my last exit, took some time off and spent some time with the family. Kids are young, and definitely wanted to spend that time. And now that they're getting a little bit older, wanted to really get back at it. And I really feel that me and my team can make a really big impact, and we want to do that and be able to help a lot of people and do a lot of great things. So 45 days ago, I launched some ads, and I'll tell you exactly my breakdown of exactly how I did it. First off, I spent $500 in ads to warm up a new audience and targeted that audience. The Meta ads platform is really AI driven now. So it's based upon the content. So you target broad, and based upon the content, it will show your ads to the people who are most likely to engage with that content. So I set up the ads and had like a $500 budget for spending like $100 a day, I think it was like $50 a day to start, and then started bumping it up. And I was doing the engagement ads, right? So the trigger in the pixel or in the algorithm is for how much people are watching and engaging with the content, right? Mostly educational videos. I did like 10 videos and posted them up with that budget, and they'll just auto-rotate, right? So I did that, and a lot of great engagement. And then what I did is I took a lookalike audience of those people that engaged with 75% of that educational video, and I made a lookalike audience on that. And then I started targeting them with an offer to get signed up, book a strategy call, get into our process and so forth. So over the last 45 days, I spent $2,500 on that, and I have had 300 phone calls. And actually I have 300 more people that we're working to get booked with our AI automation, but 300 phone calls. So I myself have taken 300 phone calls over the last 30, 45 days with people who have an idea and they want to take it to market and they want to take it to exit. Let's back up real quick. So 300 people, right? And this is exactly what you need to do. Exactly what you need to do. You need to set up ads. You need to target your traffic. You don't need to be out there looking for an agency. You don't need to be looking out for some execution person. You just need to do the work. Go out there, set up the ads, get a few hundred calls booked, and I'll tell you, it sucked. Taking 12, 14, 16 calls a day sucks. It's not fun. But do you know what I learned? I learned exactly how to rebuild the landing pages based upon the conversations I was having with these people, based upon their objections, based upon their questions, based upon who that customer avatar is and what they actually want, what they need, what they think they want, and what they actually need. So I built new landing pages, relaunched all of our landing pages, and our entire follow-up sequence, launched a couple of new things, basically wrote an entire book and created an entire follow-up structure and rewrote the ads for relaunch, hired a sales team, trained them on all of the objections, wrote the script for the first call and the closing call, and hired a project manager for fulfillment. And as those people come on board, that's a lot of people. And we actually have $2.2 million verbally committed from these people that came in. Now the goal is to get them, cash collected, but $2.2 million off of, and that's not upfront cash. That's how much we're going to make from them over a year in those deals that we're putting together. But that's $2.2 million for $3,000 spent, $2,500 if you have an audience already warmed up and an audience targeted. So what did I learn from those 300 people? Out of the 300 people, ironically, the last call was the only person who actually did the work and has a business and has numbers and has product market fit and has some sort of validation. Out of the other 299 people, or however many it is, I will tell you, every single one came to the call with an idea and thought, well, I bring the idea, you do everything else. And I'm like, oh, that's not really how it works. And most of them are thinking, all right, well, I'm showing up to this call. Next steps are, I need you to invest in me. Okay. I invest in traction. I invest in the answers to these questions. What's your cost of acquisition of customer? How many customers can you onboard? Where is your process going to break down? What's your lifetime value of your customer? Investors invest in that. And if you just have an idea, you didn't do the thing that I just did, because execution is everything. Ideas are absolutely worthless. Every single idea I have has to be executed. Every single idea that anyone has to be executed on. What does execution look like? Well, you could just build a landing page, set up some ads, drive some people to it, get on calls, and ask them questions before you even write a single line of code. Like, I wasn't out hiring a sales team, hiring fulfillment people and doing all that. I wasn't doing that before I did the calls. I did that after I did the calls. So I literally did the calls. So as a first-time founder, and that's another piece, is every single person was a first-time founder. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of software coming to market. And a lot of those people thought that a vibe-coded app was an MVP, which it is not. That is a clickable prototype. That's hi-fi clickable prototype. That's nothing more than that. That's not a product. However, if you want to take that product, make some demos, set up ads, target your audience, do some demo calls, that's fantastic. So that's what you need to be working on. So the breakdown in the flow. So idea to exit, right? We're talking about how to take an idea, I have an idea, how to take it all the way to exit. Every single one of those people, except for the last call, every single one of those people thought, here's what I need to do. I need to hire a dev team, and I need to bring on capital. Well, you might be able to go to friends and family and raise some capital of people that believe in you or believe in your idea plus believe in you, and that's fine. You can raise money from friends and family, but no investor invests in ideas. Investors only invest in traction and momentum. Friends and family might invest in you or might invest in your idea, but that's about it. So what does your pool look like? And what does that opportunity look like? And still at that point, you're going to want to have a team, and you're going to want to have a proven team, and you're going to want to have some of those numbers proven. But most importantly, you're going to want product validation before you bring on money. So if you're coming to this and saying, I have this great idea, and you're not willing to put up $1 of your own money, your idea will never go anywhere. Your product will never go anywhere. You won't be able to do the awesome things that you want to do in life. You're not going to be able to provide for your family from this company. You're not going to be able to buy houses and cars and boats or whatever it is that motivates you to get up every morning and do the thing that you want to do. Now, I admit some of the ideas that I heard were great. I would probably say 10 to 15 out of 300 were great ideas. They needed a 1-degree shift. I don't think any of them had what didn't need a 1-degree shift. And even the person that I talked to that had $1 million company already, that still needs a 1-degree shift. And that as an operator, he admitted it. Every company needs a 1-degree shift. No company is perfect. No idea is perfect. And in that 1-degree shift, what you're trying to find is market gaps and penetration. So how can we penetrate the market with an MVP? So for people that just say, I have an idea, just give me a proposal on what it would take to build it. I had a guy actually message me on that, keeps messaging me, even after I said, it would be irresponsible to send you a scope of work based upon a project that doesn't have any product market fit or validation or anything. And just because you ask 10 people, 10 friends, like, hey, do you think this is a good idea? It's not validation. Validation is people that have never heard of you, would they use your app? And what would they be willing to pay for it? So, and what are some of the key features they would like to see? And, kind of jam on some of those to, better understand what would need to be done in order to facilitate a product that cold traffic, people that don't know who you are, would be willing to take action on. So my point of saying this and my point of bringing this up is there's a real problem in technology right now. And I was doing some research on how many apps are being developed right now. Between vibe coding and everything. There's over 100 million apps, whatever, SaaS, whatever, software, being developed right now through vibe coding or whatever, 100 million, whatever the number is. And out of those 100 million, 1% will actually have one customer. That's astronomical. Where's that breakdown? Where is the breakdown from I have a great idea, I'm going to start building something, to only having one customer or it not ever even going live, right? Where's that breakdown? The breakdown is in understanding what your product market fit and what the market demand actually is for the thing of which you're building. So that's pretty massive. And then 0.1% will actually grow into a business that can make, and I don't think you're really in business until you're making about $1 million a year, because it's just a side hustle until you're at $1 million a year. At $1 million a year, you can start affording to hire people. And hiring people doesn't mean sweat equity. Oh, he's sweating in. Oh, this person's sweating in. I got, this guy sweating in and that guy and all these guys are sweating in. When I hear people are sweating in, I hear inefficiency. I hear people aren't actually working. People need to make money. People need to pay their bills. Like, there is no such thing as sweat in when it comes to no money being transferred. Like, I agree with small retainers and sweat in to actually be paid what it is that you're worth. But when you're just having somebody, quote unquote, sweat in, they're not putting any time and focus to this. And execution is absolutely everything. There is nothing other than execution. An idea is absolutely worthless without execution. An idea is more than worthless because it's wasting time. So it's worth negative money. Ideas are worth negative money. Execution is everything. So having a small retainer, being able to have clear responsibilities, clear deliverables, a clear path to what it is that needs to be done is the only thing that matters. There is literally nothing else that matters. So yeah, at $1 million a year, you might be able to start hiring people. And then 0.01% actually make it to the point that it's a real company that can grow and scale and go to exit. And you can't scale a business without people. Businesses don't scale without people. I know I see these posts come up on Instagram, whatever, and see how I vibe coded this app to $50,000 a month. Well, 100 million people have vibe coded an app in the last 30 days, right? And 0.01% of them can operate like that. Do you know what they have that the 100 million people don't have? Is a clear customer that you're selling to, a clear problem solution, and a clear competitive moat of what it is that you do and what that secret sauce is, and clear communication on what makes you better than the other option that's out there. And I think that's another thing to talk about is probably 20 people out of the 300 said, I don't have competition. That's the one sentence that kind of came up, and I'm typing in my CRM and internal notes. Delusional founder. Like, if you say you don't have competition, you're insane. The NFL competes with Netflix. And if you say, how does the NFL compete with Netflix? The NFL competes with newspaper. The NFL competes with just scrolling on social media. Whatever your attention is away from that entertainment, that is the competition. So if you made the greatest AI app that will write all of your content for you and do everything automatically, you're competing with pen and paper. You're competing with memorization. You're competing with every other thing that's out there that they could be doing other than paying and using your app, right? So the end of this story is I talked to 300 people, and 300 people were completely unqualified. And it told me exactly the education that I need to make and exactly how I need to help people, because I struggled with this. I struggled with this for years. I've been building apps for 20 years. And first app that I built, I had clear product market fit because I had somebody from the thoroughbred horse industry come to me and say, we need to make a marketplace for thoroughbred horses. Well, why? I mean, I didn't wake up one morning and think I need to make a thoroughbred horse website, or a marketplace, whatever. They explained to me, because these people that have the horses or services or whatever it is that they offer for the market, they're struggling to communicate with the people that are also in that market. Granted, 20 years ago. So it's like 2006 that I built this. It's either 2005 or 2006. I think it was 2006. 2006, yeah. So they were struggling to communicate with one another, so we needed this. Okay, that's a clear problem. How do we do that? How do we do that well? It's execution. I learned how to execute. I researched how to build marketplaces. I had no idea how to do it. ChatGPT wasn't a thing back then. Google was different. The entire internet was different. It wasn't social media. I think I had a MySpace. But no one was educating on this. You had to learn how to do it. So I learned how to execute. I taught myself how to execute. I taught myself how to build a marketplace. We built it. A lot of people started using it. We grew it. We scaled it. I exited. It was awesome. It was, my first home run. Yay. Cool, right? But it was somebody else that brought me the product market fit. It was somebody else that told me what needed to be done. And all I had to do was execute. Now, in today's world, we have a tremendous amount of resources. We have the greatest yes man ever created in the history of mankind AI, ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, Claude. The greatest yes man in the history of the internet are those AI platforms. What do I mean by that? These platforms were built for one purpose: to make you feel good. That's it. They're not made to be combative. They're not made to argue with you, unless you put Grok on unhinged mode, then you can light it up. But still, it's telling you that, your idea is good. So people go to these apps. ChatGPT is free. Many of these AI softwares are free to get started. And you type in, I have this idea. I want to launch satellites into outer space. I literally had somebody say that. I want to launch satellites into outer space. Okay. I'm going to need you to earmark a few $1 billion in order to achieve that. I'm sorry, I can't afford $1. Okay, so maybe we shouldn't talk about launching satellites into outer space to give everyone free internet. Maybe that's not the way to do this. Yeah, I had a lot of interesting calls, as we'll talk about that. But, talking about it, talking about this process, you have to understand who your customer is, what the problem is, and find the shortest gap between where you are and solving that problem for them. What's the smallest amount of money to solve that problem? And then all you have to do is ask those people, can you try my app and did that solve your problem? Then you take those, you turn them into case studies or user-generated content, and you turn those into ads, and you turn it into a business that's making $1 million a year. That's it. That's all you have to do. But out of 300 people, except for one, no one understood that. They think that you just go directly to, I need to build a product, I need money. And that's the education that I want to bring to you guys, and understand that, me, I don't come from means. I don't come from a lot of cash. I just come from an execution, an operator mentality. And if you have an idea and you want it to actually become something, you have to become an operator. You have to become an executioner. You have to become somebody that's good at something in order to fulfill. And you can fill the gaps. You don't have to do everything. Over my 20-year career in doing this, I've kind of gotten good at everything. I can do the content. I can build the app myself. I can launch an app myself. I can build the funnels. I can do the calls. I can do the sales calls. I can write the content. I can make the content. I can set up the ads. I can set up the reporting. I can do every single thing. But I'm telling you right now, if you're trying to learn how to do everything, it's going to take you years to get there. And that's where we come in. That's where our services come in. That's where our expertise comes in. And another problem that I saw is there were people that did vibe code apps that we had conversations with. I would say probably 20 of them have vibe coded an app or gotten something that they think is a minimum viable product, but it's not. It's just it's just a prototype, which is fine. That's fine. Like, that needs to turn into a production ready app, which that's going through a process in order to do that. But you could still do demos with that. You could still have people give you feedback on what it is that's there. And every single one of those people that watched the video I asked them to watch before the call kind of felt uncomfortable. And that's fine. Uncomfortability is fine, because they totally missed the validation, product market fit, and the demand. Because those vibe coding apps are built in such a way to make you add more features. And the features aren't validated to say, Does the market actually want this? Is this something that people actually want? Well, the answer is probably no. But these apps, every time it prompts you like, hey, how would you like to add this really cool feature to your app? With one click, you can add it. Why do you think they do that? Because at one click, you're paying them another 30 cents or 50 cents or whatever, however much money you're paying them. Every single time you prompt, you're paying money, paying more money. They want you to continue prompting. I have somebody that prompted over 1,000 times. Every single time you prompt, there's a 50% chance you're creating tech debt. There's a 50% chance you're adding another 2 weeks of development if you were to go and clean up that tech debt. And what is tech debt? Tech debt is when you deploy code and these AI vibe coding apps like Tailwind CSS. So deploying Tailwind, and then you're like, change this button color. And it's like, okay, fixing button color. It's literally deploying another 1,000 lines of code to try to fix a button color. Okay, let's try to rework this differently. Removing Tailwind. It doesn't remove Tailwind. It just adds another, standard kit for CSS. So now you have 10,000 lines of CSS code. All right, changing button color. It's not changing the button color. And then what does it do? Next step is it starts putting everything into new sections, starts resectioning your code. If you're building on React, it would be these sections, these buckets. That's like changing button color. And then the background changes to a different color. Like every single time you do that, you're writing thousands of lines of code. And then you give it to a developer to say, hey, make this production ready. And they're looking at this thing. It's like, I'm going to throw out everything. I'm throwing out the entire code. When I use those vibe coding platforms, I prompt once, maybe twice, and that's it. No more prompts. That's it. I don't prompt it anymore. I hand it immediately over to our dev team, and they take it out of there. They take it out of the mono repo. They harden the security. They actually build it with front-end, back-end APIs. They build the app out and take it production ready. It takes a couple of weeks, which is phenomenal because the old way of doing this would take months, and it's really cool that you can get something together really, really quickly. And things do go together really quickly when you have clarity. So yeah, we're building clarity, we're helping people, and we launched our incubator. And inside of our incubator program, we will help you with that clarity and help you with structuring that idea for that 1% shift, your product market fit, your market demand, getting your website online, starting to validate that idea, starting to get people to come in, starting to do demo calls if we have a clickable prototype or something like that, and be able to walk people through what it is that they need and what the market actually needs and what the market wants and what they're willing to pay for it. And then we start building the app. We get into our MVP sprint. We do that in weeks, not months. Typically it'll take 8 weeks, realistically, to get something online. And then we start making money. Then we reinvest into new features, and each new feature should open up a new market avatar. So if you're targeting this user, but you have this user that also sells to this user, you could sell to them and have a multi-tenant application that then they would be able to resell to their users. That's something that we've done with a few of our projects. And you sell to one user first, you open up with new features to the next user in the next sprint. So each sprint that you do should cost a little bit of money. It's not going to be free, but each user that you open up to should open up another $10 million in potential revenue over the next couple of years. Then you do a new feature, and that should open up a new market. Then you do a new feature. Everything that you do from the validation, the product market fit and the validation, all the way through to exit is just math. That's all we're working on is math. What's the cost of acquisition? What's the lifetime value? And how big is this market, and how big is the demand? And how do we acquire them? That's it. That's all this business is. It's not hard. It's hard if you make it hard. And people that make it hard are these people that go from, I have an idea, I need developers. And then they struggle. Let me tell you one struggle. Let me leave you with this. A gentleman that is signing up for our incubator program, I feel for him. I feel for him 100%, because ChatGPT said you need to hire all these people. He hired 12 developers in January of last year and spent $300,000, and they never shipped the product. They never signed up a single user. 300 grand. So when I positioned the incubator, and the person said, I'm already in an incubator and I've been in for 6 months and they haven't done anything for me. I was like, well, okay, give me 60 days and we're gonna move and we're gonna do this. And all right, I'm done messing around. So I think the problem with a lot of these folks that I talk to is they don't have the pain. And I had the pain. I had the pain of spending $1 million in developers and struggling and spinning my wheels on multiple projects until I figured out exactly how to do this. And that's what it is I want to help you guys with. So scaleupmedia.com, check out our incubator program, come and join. If this resonates with you, I absolutely want you to join. Also, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. I would love to talk to you guys more, and let me know if you like the morning sessions, because I like a cup of coffee, kids are still sleeping. I can knock these out. This is doable. The calls have been incredible. At least I marked today and tomorrow off that I'm not taking calls for 2 days, but I'm going to get to catch up on a few other things. There's never a day off. If you want to get into this business, in the software business, because you want freedom, you want lifestyle, I don't know, play the lottery. Like, don't get into this business, because you need to allocate a couple years of your life. 1 year, if you're really good, if you join our incubator program, 1 year of focused effort, you could have freedom and you could build a team and you could do some amazing thing if you have the right product, the right customer, the right product market fit, the right product, the right time that you bring to market, and people actually want to pay for it. Yeah, you can build a really nice lifestyle, but you're going to spend some time. You're going to spend some money, and it's going to be painful. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to wake up in the morning. You're going to say, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? What am I doing? You're going to wake up like that. Then you're going to email me, text me, call me, whatever. Talk to me on Slack. What am I doing? All right, here's what we need to do. Today, we just take it one day at a time. Today, we need to get that landing page live. We need to get the ads live. We need to do this. We need whatever it is that we need to do. And we build momentum. And it's that daily effort and that daily accountability and that daily focus of clear responsibilities of who does what. And it's that clear effort and execution that creates momentum. And then you look back a year later and you have this whole team working on this thing. They're reporting to you. You could look at a couple reports, work 3 hours a week, 5 hours a week, whatever it is. And the company is growing and scaling because you have the right people in the right positions and the company is growing. Awesome. Without us, maybe 5 years, maybe you're working for 5 years at this thing. I've talked to some people that working for 10 years and still don't have traction, still don't have customers. I won't work on something for 10 years and not have customers. I'll work on something for 90 days and not have customers. But once I start getting to like the 120-day mark, I'm like, I need customers. Executors, operators, we move differently. That's what our incubator program does. So Scale Up Media, check us out, hop on board, let's execute, let's create that life that you've always wanted. You want to watch sunrises like this over the lake, have your boat in the backyard, whatever it is that you want. It is all doable if you're willing to do the work and execute. And we're willing to execute alongside you. Join our incubator program. Let's work together. Let's build that vision that you're looking for. That would be my only pitch. Sorry for pitching, but oh my goodness, it's been a wild couple weeks here, but I learned a lot. Hopefully you learned a lot from this. Hopefully you subscribe, comment if you have any questions. More than happy to help you. We'll see you on the next one.